Talk shows are fun to watch, but sometimes things get a little awkward on stage and in the audience as well. Welcome to Riveted, where we have compiled some of the cringiest moments on talk shows. For a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card, comment with your cringiest moment on a talk show. Number 10, Fartgate. Doctors say the average person farts anywhere from 5 to 15 times per day. Yet this biological process can be very cringe-worthy. For some people, it doesn't matter how old they get, but farting will always be funny. For other people, it's the most embarrassing thing that could happen, especially on live TV. One person who couldn't hold back her butt cough is The View host Whoopi Goldberg. She set the stench free while interviewing Claire Danes on ABC's The View in 2011 and made no effort whatsoever to play it off, much to the delight of her co-hosts and studio audience. Apparently, this wasn't the only time Whoopi broke wind on the show. It happened again when Dr. Oz, who was a guest on the show, started talking about farting. Recently, the Queen of Hot Topics also allegedly passed air on live TV. Wendy watchers noticed a very familiar sound coming from their TV screens while Wendy was discussing the hot topics of the day, and some said the fart sounded like a real hot topic. Wendy Williams denied the allegations the next day, saying that the sound came from a piece of equipment. Number 9, late night cringe. Aziz Ansari's post-Parks and Recreation career has seen him tackle all manner of difficult subjects, from dating in the digital age to the racism he's encountered as an Indian-American actor. Ansari took his truth-telling ways to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. In a slightly uncomfortable clip from November 2015, Colbert mentions that Ansari has talked a lot about diversity on television and continues by asking him, "Does having you on my show count at all?" Things get dicier when Colbert begins listing Ansari's accomplishments and incorrectly states the name of his book, and Ansari remarks that someone will likely get fired over the incorrect information. To this, Colbert replies, "God, I hope it's a white guy." Earlier in the year, it was reported that all 19 writers on Colbert's staff are white, and 17 of the 19 are men. That wasn't the only time Stephen Colbert had a cringe-worthy moment on the show. Casey Affleck later appeared on Late Night with Stephen Colbert, and things got, well, weird. From Affleck asking Colbert if he wanted to fight, to Colbert relentlessly mocking Affleck's wardrobe. The 6-minute interview couldn't end quickly enough. Mixing up the Jimmys, number 8. Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon are two different people who share the same first name and the same job, and they are also constantly being mistaken for one another. One person who fell victim to this was Emma Watson. She was on The Tonight Show, or was it Jimmy Kimmel Live? Watson couldn't tell the difference when she confessed to Tonight Show host Jimmy Fallon that she loved his "I told my kids I ate their Halloween candy" videos. The issue? She mixed up her Jimmys. Kimmel created those videos, not Fallon. Oops! To make it even more humiliating, it was the first time she had ever met Fallon. He graciously gave her the chance to exit and re-enter the stage. In a return visit to Fallon's couch to promote her dystopian thriller The Circle, Watson reminisced on one of her more mortifying live television blunders, and it's not just the names that make the men easy to confuse with one another. Even Kimmel's daughter Jane had trouble telling Kimmel from Fallon. Kimmel was driving with his daughter when she was 2.5 years old, and they saw a billboard of Jimmy Fallon. The innocent child adorably said that Jimmy Fallon is kind of like her daddy. Number 7, date gone wrong. You'd think falling on your face at the Academy Awards would be pretty high on your list of most embarrassing moments, but nope. Not for J-Law. She explained to Jimmy Fallon that she actually doesn't like talking about all the times she's fallen, which is a lot because she feels people will think it's an act. The falls are not the worst thing that have happened to Jennifer Lawrence. Having a gorgeous, charming actress like Jennifer Lawrence have a crush on you wouldn't be a problem for most men unless you were already taken. And that is exactly what happened a few years ago when Lawrence hosted Saturday Night Live and developed a huge crush on then head writer and Weekend Update host Seth Meyers. Jennifer Lawrence confessed on Seth Meyers' talk show that she'd planned to ask him out on the set of SNL years before. She turned bright red when a wardrobe lady broke the news. He was already engaged. Lawrence pointed out that when she was crushing on Meyers, he wasn't wearing an engagement ring. Meyers asked if she had any other celebrity crushes, and Lawrence admitted giving Larry David her number, but he never got in touch. Number 6, groping on live TV. Days after his arrest for alleged sexual battery, a resurfaced video from a 2007 episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live showed Andy Dick rubbing Ivanka Trump's leg. When Ivanka Trump came on Jimmy Kimmel Live in 2007, Dick couldn't keep his hands off her, needing to continue petting her and making her very uncomfortable. He was warned twice, but when it happened a third time, Kimmel called for security and even helped them drag Dick off set. Shortly after, Kimmel addressed the incident during an interview with Extra. He said, "She came out, he wanted a big wet kiss. It was time for Andy to go, so I escorted him out by his feet. He's Andy. He's not upset. He's not apologetic. He's just nutty. He always makes me a little uncomfortable. You have no idea what he's going to do next." Dick was dropped from the independent feature film Raising Buchanan after he was accused of sexual harassment and misconduct on set. Dick later told THR that he was indeed let go of the project, but denied any groping claims. However, he admitted to making advances on others and said it was possible that he may have licked people while working on the film. Jeez. Number 5, Nicole Kidman, not kidding. Nicole Kidman and famed Food Network chef Giada De Laurentiis appeared on an episode of The Ellen DeGeneres Show and took part in a segment in which De Laurentiis taught the actress and host how to cook a few of her favorite Italian specialties. Cooking segments on talk shows are always a bit rushed and awkward, but this one takes the cake for being the most uncomfortable. Things got off to a rough start as the three women started to roll arancini balls out of leftover risotto. While De Laurentiis tries to teach Ellen and Kidman how to make some delicious arancini and focaccia bread, the two fool around, interrupt each other, and overall derail the segment to Giada's annoyance. De Laurentiis asked Kidman, "Nicole, have you ever made meatballs or anything?" seemingly implying that she couldn't cook. In classy Kidman fashion, though, the question was met with an eyebrow raise, but otherwise ignored. Then, after seeing Kidman's perfect arancini take shape, De Laurentiis announced, "The woman who can't cook made the perfect ball." The tension between the two continued into the focaccia-making portion of the segment, with De Laurentiis yelling at Kidman to use more olive oil. Nicole and Ellen then decided to try Giada's pizza, and Nicole gave the most iconic feedback using just a few words. "It's a little tough." And Kidman literally takes a piece of chewed bread out of her mouth. Number 4, cruising out of control. In 2005, Tom Cruise called Matt Lauer a glib, which is someone who speaks fluently but often in a deceptive manner while appearing on the Today Show. Then Cruise went on to a condescending rant about the history behind psychiatry. Tom Cruise later appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show to reveal that he was very much in love with Katie Holmes. Like, really in love. Then he started jumping on her couch like a madman, and you could almost sense the confusion in Oprah's heart. This quickly became one of the most uncomfortable talk show moments for Cruise. Number 3, dental hazard. Sharon Osbourne had a pretty embarrassing tooth-related mishap during an episode of The Talk. While discussing the 50 Shades of Grey movie, Osbourne's tooth implant became so loose that she couldn't keep from mentioning it on the air. The mother of 3 was in the middle of gushing about her rocker husband Ozzy at the beginning of the program when she felt that her front right tooth was surprisingly loosened. The rest of the talk show panel, Julie Chen, Aisha Tyler, Sarah Gilbert, and Cheryl Underwood, looked on as Sharon repeatedly pulled out her tooth and attempted to squeeze it back in her mouth. With no dentist or oral surgeon in sight, the red-haired TV personality continued on with the rest of the show. In an exclusive sneak peek clip of the 2000th episode milestone, the women played a game called Does Mrs. O Know the Show?, in which Eve asked Osbourne questions about the CBS program's history. Sharon was asked to recall the time when she lost a tooth on the show. When Osbourne couldn't quickly recall the moment, Eve rolled the clip, which shows Osbourne losing her tooth during a live taping of the daytime talk show. Number 2, a case of amnesia. Katy Perry stopped by Ellen to promote her album Witness, and things took a rather awkward turn when Ellen forgot about Katy's 2-year marriage to Russell Brand. Katy married Russell back in October 2010, but their marriage ended just over a year later when, according to Katy, Russell told her he wanted a divorce via text message. The awkward exchange began right before the pair was about to play Will You Parry Me?, a riff on Would You Rather. Katy Perry hoped she would not need to get married again, and Ellen said Katy had never been married. The audience members and Katy were shocked because Ellen completely forgot that her friend was once married to Russell. Ellen, still not convinced of Katy's marriage, asked who she was married to multiple times. This made Katy just a little uncomfortable as she was forced to mumble the name of her ex-husband. Katy then ended the awkward conversation with a savage drag. She reminded Ellen that she gave her wedding gifts on the same show. Ellen couldn't do much but giggle and laugh because she absolutely forgot. Before we reveal our top pick, here are other cringeworthy moments. Kimberly Rydzuski quit Cycle 10 of America's Next Top Model because her boyfriend had ended his own life. Then she went on Tyra's talk show to talk about what happened in more detail. Sadly, Kim herself was in too much pain and is no longer with us either. But a lot of people thought Tyra wasn't really as empathetic as she wanted to portray herself, and the whole thing ended up being a major cringe fest. When Jimmy Kimmel showed the behind-the-scenes clip of Joker and Joaquin Phoenix was very uncomfortable. When Kanye West couldn't answer Jimmy Kimmel's question about Donald Trump and they awkwardly cut to a commercial break. While appearing on Ellen in 2017, Jessica Simpson was slurring and out of breath while she talked about things like mermaids not being allowed to pee on her kids and the definition of manhandling. Meanwhile, poor Ellen could barely keep a straight face through it all. Of course, we can't forget the moment when Danielle Bregoli was on Dr. Phil, and the entire interview was a cringe fest. In fact, Dr. Phil has had numerous cringeworthy moments on his show because he hosts all sorts of people, but that's a topic for another day. Stay tuned to Riveted. And now for our number 1 pick. Number 1, how you doing? Wendy Williams is never shy about speaking her mind, and she probably has the cringiest moments on TV. Remember when they had those awkward interviews with Ellen DeGeneres? The segments were painfully long and cringeworthy. She also had several awkward interviews with her guests, and her audience members are also never spared. During an episode of The Wendy Williams Show, a co-host got on the wrong side of Wendy when their phone rang while Wendy was in the middle of her Hot Topics segment. She went on to remind the crowd that, while the tickets to her show are free, there is a solid rule in place that they must turn off their phones before filming begins. After admitting that she was being overdramatic with her reaction, she calmly asked that everyone in the audience silence their ringers. Recently, she was under fire for yelling at Suzanne. Wendy watchers and co-hosts love Suzanne, and they were mad that Wendy rudely shouted at her for doing her job. Cringeworthy, right? Which was your cringiest moment? Let us know in the comments section below. This has been Riveted, and we publish amazing videos daily.